Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a world you can't see, but that's absolutely everywhere. I'm talking about the world of microorganisms. They're on us, in us, all around us. So, what's the deal? Are they friends or are they foes?
You know the scene, right? You leave a loaf of bread out for maybe a day too long and suddenly these weird grayish-white patches show up? Well, that little bit of kitchen drama, that's actually our way into a secret world, a world that pretty much runs our entire planet. So what are those patches? They're actually a bustling colony of microbes. And the name microorganism kind of gives it away, right? Microorganism. They're living things, just really, really tiny. So small you need a microscope to even get a peek. And believe me, they are everywhere. In the air we breathe, the water we drink, the soil under our feet, and yep, on that piece of bread.
Okay, so microbe is a pretty broad term. It's not just one type of thing. Think of it like the animal kingdom. You know, you've got your mammals, your reptiles, your fish. Well, the microbial world has its own big categories. We're going to look at the four main groups, plus one little troublemaker that kind of breaks all the rules. All right, first up, bacteria. These guys are single-celled powerhouses. They live just about anywhere you can think of, from freezing cold ice caps to boiling hot springs. Some are super helpful, but yeah, some are the culprits behind some pretty nasty diseases.
Next, we've got fungi. And hey, this brings us right back to our bread. That fuzzy gray patch? That's bread mold, which is a type of fungus. But this group also includes some real heroes, like yeasts. And as you'll see in a minute, yeast is basically a baker's secret weapon.
Moving on, we have protozoa and algae. You've probably heard of some protozoa without even realizing it. They're the little guys behind diseases like malaria. Algae, on the other hand, well, they can be single-celled or have many cells, and they are absolutely crucial for life in our oceans and lakes. And that brings us to our special case, viruses. Now, these are microscopic too, but they're in a league of their own. Why? Because they can't reproduce by themselves. They're like tiny pirates that have to invade a living cell. Could be a bacterium, a plant, or one of us, to make more of themselves. And yeah, they're the troublemakers behind things like the common cold, the flu, and a whole lot more. So after all that talk about viruses and disease, you might be thinking, wow, these microbes sound like bad news. But hold on, that's not even half the story. Let's flip the script and look at the amazing and sometimes delicious ways they help us out. You don't have to look any further than your own kitchen to find these friendly microbes. Take the bacterium Lactobacillus. It munches on milk and turns it into curd. And it doesn't stop there. Bacteria and yeast are the magic ingredients that ferment rice batter to give us fluffy idlis and dosas. Same goes for making cheese and pickles. They're tiny little chefs. And here's a fantastic example of what I mean. Ever wonder how bread gets so fluffy? It's yeast. When you mix it into dough, it gets to work, eating the sugars and reproducing like crazy. As it does this, it releases carbon dioxide gas. All those tiny gas bubbles get trapped in the dough, making it puff up and giving us that amazing, light texture we love. This whole process where yeast converts sugar into something else, that has a name, fermentation. And trust me, it's not just for making bread. This same process is used on a huge industrial scale to make things like alcohol, wine, and even vinegar from different grains and fruit juices. But the impact of these tiny organisms, it goes way beyond the kitchen. Our entire world of modern medicine is basically built on understanding them. Think about it. Jenner's vaccine used one microbe to fight a much deadlier one. Pasteur figured out fermentation. And then, of course, there was Fleming's discovery, which completely changed the game. And the story of penicillin is just incredible. Alexander Fleming found it completely by accident. He saw this little spot of green mold growing on a lab dish, and he noticed that all the bacteria around it were just dead. That mold, penicillium, gave us our very first antibiotic. Just think about that. A medicine made from a microbe to kill other microbes. Wild. And it's not just medicine. Microbes are basically the planet's cleanup crew. Whenever plants and animals die, it's microorganisms that get to work breaking down all that organic waste. They turn it back into simple nutrients for the soil, essentially recycling life itself and cleaning up the whole environment. Seriously, without them, we'd be buried in garbage.
Okay, but for all the amazing things they do, there is another side to the story. Some of these microorganisms really are our foes, and they can be a real threat to our health.
These harmful microbes have a special name. We call them pathogens. Simply put,
A pathogen is any microbe that causes disease. And they're not picky. They can make humans sick, animals sick, and even the plants we need for our food supply.
So that leads to a really important question, right? How do these pathogens even get around? How do they travel from point A to point B and end up inside our bodies causing trouble?
Well, they've got a few different travel methods. Some are airborne. Think of the common cold virus spreading when someone sneezes. Others hang out in contaminated food or water, which is how things like cholera spread. And some are extra sneaky. They use a carrier, like a taxi service. That's how malaria works. A mosquito picks it up and delivers it.
And it's not just about direct infections. These unwelcome guests can also ruin our food. As they grow on it, they can release these toxic substances, actual poisons that can make you incredibly sick. We're talking severe illness, vomiting, and in really bad cases, it can even be fatal. That's what we know as food poisoning.
So we're in this constant tug of war. How do we protect ourselves from the bad guys while making sure we still get all the benefits from the good guys? The answer really is all about learning to manage this invisible world around us.
And humans have gotten pretty smart about this over the years, especially with our food. Think about it. Salting meats, using sugar for jams, pickling vegetables with vinegar. All those old-school methods create an environment where harmful microbes just can't grow. And now, of course, we have modern tricks like heating things up and cooling them down with cooking and refrigeration.
One of the absolute game changers, especially on an industrial scale, is pasteurization. You ever wonder why the milk you buy in the store lasts so much longer than fresh milk? This is why. They heat the milk up just enough to kill off most of the bad microbes. And then, this is the key part, they chill it down super fast to stop any leftovers from growing. And yep, it's named after the man himself, Louis Pasteur.
But here's the thing, managing this world isn't just about fighting the foes. We have to protect the friends too. Because honestly, without them, life on Earth as we know it just wouldn't happen. Take nitrogen, for example. Our atmosphere is packed with it, like 78%. But plants and animals can't use it in that form. It takes certain special bacteria to fix it, to convert it into a form that the rest of us can use. They are literally providing the building blocks for the entire food chain.
So that brings us right back to where we started. Friend or foe? And the truth is, they're not one or the other. They're both. They are a fundamental part of our planet's operating system. So the next time you see a bit of mold on your bread, just take a second. Remember that you're only seeing one tiny face of a vast, incredibly powerful, and invisible world that, in a lot of ways, might just be the one running the show.